This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hello everybody and welcome to show 115 of Aussie Mac Zone. Aren't we lucky? And we've got Garth with us again, slaving away as usual in that beautiful Queensland countryside. How are you, mate?
Absolutely. How you going, Michael? Listeners, how are you tonight?
Yeah, he's just showing off earlier because it's only 22 degrees where he is. It's 33 where I am. So he's in that.
And you're the one who's south. Come on.
That's right.
It's a bit cooler down there. Below Sydney. Or you're in the Sydney area vaguely, aren't you? So, yeah.
Yes. So we've got, to start, I've got, there was a iOS 9.0.2 update. Contains bug fixes and improvements which include fixes an issue with the setting to turn on and off app cellular data usage, resolves an issue that prevented iMessage activation for some users, resolves an issue where iCloud backup could be interrupted after starting a manual backup.
Check, I had that one.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's gone.
Yes. Yeah, you want to make sure your backups are good, don't you?
You do.
Fixes an issue where the screen could incorrectly rotate when receiving notifications. And very important for us is improves the stability of podcast app.
Yay!
and also apparently we talked about the lock screen bypass last week, and we believe that's been fixed.
Very good.
Yeah. And another little thing with iOS 9 that I've noticed this week is if you're on your home screen and you swipe from left to right and wait a second and you'll see current Australian news. So
yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. And that's not even the
so
news
that's
app
part
that
of
we're
your
talking
Siri
about.
suggestions, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. It's right there, ready to go.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Even before the news app itself shows up, we have some news articles
yeah,
there.
and it's there, which is great.
Yeah.
So we're
have you noticed a few of those things with iOS 9 in terms of the Siri suggestions, the apps, and you stick your headphones in and it offers you the last app you were listening to music on or whatever?
Yeah, all little things that you think, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing
beat you
life
over the
changing,
head.
but it's one of those. Yeah, that's cool.
And it's change. You go, is that something big, something little? Trying to keep up with it. And we're lucky enough, again, of course, to be sponsored by athwebhosting.com.au. We got our famous 99.95% uptime. You can do domain registration, instant activation, and it's as simple as $5.95 per month when paid annually. So and friendly help when needed. So thank you to athwebhosting.com.au, and I hope I don't get that wrong again, young Garth.
I'm sure you won't. I noticed myself getting it wrong last week. I was sending people to athwebhosting.com. Forgot the AU. So don't forget that AU. Goodness knows where ATH web hosting will take you.
Glenn's backyard.
Yeah, well, that could be right, yeah. Apparently it's a very nice backyard now too, that is
yes,
so
yes.
Mightn't be such a bad place to head off to. And talking of heading off places, if you want to get on public transport and you happen to be in the Sydney area, Transit for iOS, so iOS Maps, one of the big announcements back in WWDC was the integration of transit data, and they've made a big fuss at the time about it going into a lot more detail with the transit data they were providing. But unfortunately, we haven't really had anywhere here in Australia where we could test it. But now, as of very soon, if not now, you can you can use the transit data in Sydney. So in your maps, it'll have integrated data for transit.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to testing it out this week when I won't have to drive on a particular day to go over from where I am in Penrith out to Waverley, out that way, Bondi Junction, see the Apple Store. And I'll be very interested to see how it goes, because our main street in Sydney has been closed as of the weekend. So they put their light rail tracks. So it'll be interesting to see whether they're up to it. But I wonder how much difference it does make. I wonder how... I'll have to spend some time learning about it before I get into it.
Yeah, I'm really interested because I know I catch public transport everywhere.
Yeah.
So can't wait till they bring it to the Brisbane metro area in Sydney.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Google has had this sort of transit data in it. And look, actually, one of my favorite apps on the iPhone and works on my Apple Watch is this Next There app for public transport.
Yeah.
Really good. But if it's built straight into Maps, then all the better.
Yeah. Yeah, I use iTransit, and it's interesting. It's good if you're thinking, oh, well, if I get off this train here and go over to a platform here, is that the fastest way to get there, as opposed to just doing what it tells you to do? Because sometimes it'll tell me to get off at Central, where I've got to go 16 platforms to get from one to the other, whereas if I go one station further down, I've got 5 platforms to go from one track to the other.
Yeah, that's the sort of little trick that, yeah,
it just takes a bit of getting used to. So, but it's all part of the fun of learning, isn't it? Gives you something to do.
Yeah. You find it takes you 2 hours to get somewhere that should have taken you an hour and a half. But once you know the tricks, you can do it in 1:15.
Well, it's simple little things like just getting off the train, walking down one platform. If I go one extra station, for example, into the city, again, don't get off at Central, which is our big country station. You just go one more station into the city. I've got to walk down a flight of stairs as opposed to walking, again, 16 platforms from one side to the other.
Yeah.
So El Capitan, we're going to mix it up a bit tonight. So photos for Mac in El Capitan 1.1 is now available, and it's the first major update for Photos, because we got basically Photos is replacing iPhoto and Aperture that Apple launched earlier this year. So thanks to 6colors.com, here are the major additions in Photos 1.1. So you got geotagging. So in Photos 1.1, you can add a location to an image or a batch of images that weren't geotagged. So if for example, I was in Canberra a couple of weeks ago, I've used an ordinary DSLR camera that doesn't have the geo. I can go in and geotag them all in one hit. You can do batch keywording when describing. So if you want to name a whole batch of images in one go, or add a description, or add keywords, you can do that.
Yep.
You can now do album sorting. So in the first release of Photos, albums could be sorted in one way, by date, oldest on the top. In Photos 1.1, you can sort photo albums by date, with either the oldest or the newest on the top, or you can sort the photos by title. And last, the big one is editing extensions. So Photos now supports image editing extensions written by third party. Like the built-in editing tools, you can actually stack multiple instructions. So you can have, say, different lens corrections that you can put this lens correction on this part of the picture and this lens correction on this part of the picture. And you just got to remember that when you actually do those edits, it's when you're using a third party app, it's changing the picture. There's always an original there, but basically instead of just going back and back and back, you've actually got to go back and get the original and do the changes to it again.
So if you've made a number of edits already with the photo, you might want to save out a duplicate.
Yeah.
With your existing edits before you then go and apply the third party filters.
Yeah.
So you don't have to redo all your own. Yeah.
So otherwise you got it. Yeah, it's just a bit of a fiddle, but
yep.
There are already about half a dozen extensions there ready to go.
Oh, good. Yeah. Not something I'll be using in a hurry, but I'm sure a lot of creative people. That's platform of choice, isn't it? The Mac, so it'd be nice that that stuff's built in.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
for a lot of the high end guys won't really be using the built in photos, but it seems that photos brings quite a lot. They've done a reasonable job of making an easy program with a fair bit of power if you go digging.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good.
And it just everything gets better with age with Apple, doesn't it? They'll take you all the way back and then just slowly build you back up again.
Yeah. Well, they've done that with a few things, haven't they? Pages, they just, wipe it out and start again.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you've got some malware information, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I don't know, I'm making a bit of a habit of it, aren't we?
It's terrible.
So eSpectre, is it eSpectre? I suppose that's how you say that. Y-I Spectre?
Yeah.
eSpectre. Malware that attacks both jailbroken and non-jailbroken iPhones has been found in the wild. Now, before we get too upset about this, it does only affect if you've upgraded from 8.4, then you're fine. Well, to 8.4 and above, you're fine. They took care of it at that point.
Okay.
And despite that, you would have had to install the software from an external source. You would have got a warning dialogue that had come up and said, hey, this is not a trusted developer. You sure you want to do this on your iPhone? And you would have had to go through that dialogue and, force your way through to get it installed. So, look, if you've... How do you say, It's almost like if you're that stupid, then you're that stupid. I guess there are times, legitimate times when you may do that if you're getting, settings from your corporate. If it's a corporate device and you're setting it up under their corporate, I don't know, you know more about how all that stuff works, Michael, than I would, where you would have to push through those dialogues. But if you're just getting some stupid game off the App Store and it wants to go and install some certificate like that, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, and it's just getting... Apple are introducing more and more challenges for these people to go through, but we're still the one that's stuffing it up, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
The buck stops here.
On this one, anyway, there's times when maybe the buck doesn't stop here, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like the last lot of stuff, the buck stopped at the bloody developers, didn't it?
Yeah, they've done a lot to fix that too, haven't they? They have introduced some China servers, from what I understand, to get the speed up for them.
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons the Chinese developers were grabbing it from a non-official site. It just took forever to get it through the Chinese firewall. Yeah, to get Xcode downloaded. We started talking about this Xcode that the Xcode that was inserted in the malware that was inserted in Xcode.
Yeah.
That we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
So Apple have also given the developers some instructions on how to avoid the challenge and how to make sure that the Xcode that they're actually using hasn't been fiddled with because it comes up with a special key that you can actually compare. Okay, that's definitely the right one. You can't cheat on that key. So improves the security there.
There's plenty of ways that Apple, and for that matter, a lot of the other companies have made it possible for us to be safe. But like you said, the buck stops here. If we be so-called smart and we know how to do this, we're fine, we're smart. We'll override it. We don't need to run antivirus or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's their own stupidity often that it's people's stupidity that gets them in
gets
trouble.
past of it, yeah. So we've also got a new change to Apple's terms of service that people may not have picked up on. So Apple's quietly made iCloud opt out for iPhones and iPads. So they made a small change, meaning users setting up a brand new iPhone or iPad will no longer be asked whether or not they'd like their content sent to Apple for storage and syncing across devices. So, to be informed of the change, app users would need to read through the lengthy terms and conditions that appear during the setup. Most of us, including me, just go, yeah. I'm in the Apple world. That's where I'm at. So I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
So
see,
I'm quite
that's
happy
it, isn't
living
it?
here.
We just had that discussion about how we are our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
But no one is ever going to read through all those terms and conditions. Let's face it.
Yeah. I don't have that much time in my life.
No.
Yeah, so that's my challenge for the week. Just be aware that there is a change. So if you really feel that it's important in your life not to abide by Apple's request, then it used to be an opt-in, and now it's just there automatically for you.
Okay.
So you've got to opt out.
That's well, you've been warned.
Yeah.
I always tick yes to all those things anyway.
Yeah.
We always opted in.
So we've got Apple scoops up privacy-loving AI company.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where they're going here, but this company apparently, a little startup, was their main claim to fame was doing this sort of artificial intelligence stuff on data already existing in the phone. So it does play into the whole privacy awareness, that sort of background that Apple's coming from. So hopefully we'll be seeing Siri get even smarter and still keeping our data on the device in terms, apart from what gets sent to iCloud, but still keeping using the data that's already there existing on the device to get Siri smarter. Hopefully we'll see that down the road a bit.
Are this also they've picked up another voice recognition company too, I believe, just in the last week. So
natural, let you talk to Siri more naturally. Is the goal there, it seems. I guess they're picking up little companies here, there, and everywhere, aren't they? All the time. Sometimes probably for the actual people, and sometimes for the technology, and they don't really comment on what their plans are. We just sort of go, okay, let's hope that this means this.
It must be better for us in the long run, doesn't it? That's their story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes. So, the other day, I went on a bit of a shopping spree.
Yeah.
For Apple Watch bands online, and I've been waiting. When are we actually going to see some official made for iPhone or made for Apple Watch lugs? And apparently they have now started selling those. So Apple, for third-party bands, if you want a third-party band for your watch, there's a stack out there on eBay. Up until now, none of them have been with the official lugs. So the lugs that go into your watch, and then the band connects to that. So I've got a couple in the mail, and I'll let you guys know how they turn out. But
just the lug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've got the full bands on, so full bands with third-party bands that are non-official ones. So hopefully now that Apple have officially started shipping, say that twice, 3 times. Say that twice, 3 times. That'll be 6 times. Now that Apple have officially started shipping the official lugs, we'll see some of the sort of, I guess, Apple sanctified third-party bands.
Yeah, be interesting to see what the difference is, won't it?
Yeah, I think depending on the third-party band you get, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Some may be much more dodgy than others, though. It's always a bit of a risk when you hit eBay for these sort of bands. Anything you buy from eBay, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? You never quite know if it's going to turn out to be an absolute bargain or a piece of rubbish that was worth exactly the price you paid for it.
But so you think that, how do you say it, Hermes, because they're effectively only bands, aren't they? Are they going to have the official lugs in them?
They will, yes.
But will they have the
Because-
engraved official lugs, do you think? Or
You'd think they'd have to, wouldn't you?
they're only bands and a special watch face, aren't they? So
Yeah, but they'd have the lugs. They'd have to have the official lugs for Apple to be selling them, I reckon.
yeah. But I'm just wondering if they're going to be these official lugs, as opposed to
I think they'd be their own official lugs.
like whether because the Apple ones don't have made for Apple on them, do they?
No. Oh, I see. Yeah, no. No. So yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? These ones are going to actually be laser engraved with made for Apple, with a little symbol or little set of letters on there to show that they are the official lugs.
Yes, interesting, and the colours aren't there either. So you won't
No,
have
it's
yellow gold or rose glow gold, for example, in these new lugs. It's just for
How many of those do you think? How many third-party watch band makers would be picking those up anyway? I'm not too sure. But I tell you, I got the magnetic sort of leather loop one. I got 2 of those and a sports band for the same price I would have paid for a sports band here in Australia, an official Apple sports band.
Yeah. So I'd be interested how they are when you get them, mate.
Yeah. They're ones. I don't know if you listen to Cultcast or the Cult of Mac podcast, Cultcast.
Yeah.
One of the guys on there had got them and said they're actually really, he was really happy with it. So I went and grabbed the same ones.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So talking about other podcasts, there's some good Australian guys that do podcasts on a Thursday night called Aussie Tech Heads podcast.
ATH, Aussie Tech Heads.
Yeah,
Where do we know that from?
So yeah, if you want to listen to Glenn and the boys, get into it. They're in, and also I nearly missed that too. I haven't got it in front of me, but there's also a new security podcast now that he's got going.
Yeah, I have to check that out. Actually, thanks for reminding me.
Just putting it on my list now.
We better what's the actual? But what do we search for in iTunes for that one? I wonder.
I don't know whether it's. I'm just going to have a quick look up now.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just throwing me because I want to make sure we all know about it because security is, as we've just been discussing, very important. So from Glenn, the searching is really good now in on the phone
iTunes?
now. In mail and things, it's just really quick.
Oh, okay. Actually, El Capitan Mail is like, that's how a mail app is supposed to work. For me, it's been significant. That's the biggest feature for me in El Capitan, is that the mail app actually works properly.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Glenn, if I can find it, if I haven't already filed it somewhere else. No, it's not it. I must have already filed it, but I'll make sure I put in the show notes for this week. The new security podcast from ATH, so everyone can hear about it. I think it's
absolutely
good to listen to. So we've also got, speaking of El Capitan, geez, you're good with the segue there for me, mate. So
sometimes
finding your cursor, that lost your cursor, just wiggles side to side, and you've got to wiggle a fair bit, but it becomes bigger and easier to see. Geez, that's cool. For an old bloke, like I've only got one eye at the moment myself. I've got a cataract, so I was wondering why my eyesight was going. I've got a cataract, so that just makes it so much easier. Wiggle it a little bit, and it gets bigger.
Okay, let's step away from that one.
So while you're wiggling it, AirPlay video files from Safari in full screen. So who needs Chromecast? So El Capitan, Safari, AirPlay. So whatever's on the screen, so you can go to your web TV show, start watching it on your big screen just using your Apple TV.
Very nice. So yeah, you couldn't do that before. I hadn't actually looked at that.
No,
Not the full
not as
screen
like
version.
as a screen. Yeah, boom.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Apple's tackled the worst part of the internet: auto playing videos. So you get that little speaker icon up the top, or microphone icon, sorry, up the top right hand side of a tab that's actually got something playing, and you can just click it and mute it straight away. Excellent.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest banes, isn't it? Auto
It
play
is shocking,
audio
yeah.
on websites is absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
But if you are wanting to watch some audio or video content online,
Yeah.
and you do want to do it on an Apple TV, don't go to Amazon. Apparently, speaking of airplaying video,
Yeah.
Amazon ceased selling of Apple TV and Chromecast.
Yeah.
What's that about? I mean, not that we could buy them here anyway.
So was it browser wars, or what is it?
Yeah,
Content
they've got their
wars,
own
or...
Apple. They've got their own Amazon Fire TV, haven't they? And it's a little bit unusual though to me. So here they are, cease selling. They're not going to sell Apple TV anymore. They're not going to sell the Chromecast anymore. They do sell, Roku boxes, and they're going to sell their Fire TV. But previously, Amazon have been one of those companies that lots of people have bought their Kindle books through. They bought Kindle books through Amazon simply because you can read it on any platform. They've been, up until now, they've been fairly platform agnostic. So it's I don't know, it's an interesting move for them to actually start to restrict in that way.
Yeah.
Like, how much could they really make from selling the Fire TVs? You'd think their main goal here is the content.
Well, what about they've stopped selling Fire phones because nobody bought any.
Well, no one bought it. They didn't stop selling them; just no one bought any. That's how did you get there? Kind of.
That's right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Interesting story. It doesn't affect us here in Australia too much because I don't know. Well, I'm still hoping Amazon will open up more stuff for sale here directly through the site, but we'll see.
But they also so now Apple have pulled I'll rephrase it. They don't have the Fire app or the Amazon app on iTunes anymore because they're not doing, and the same as the Google Play Store, they've taken it off there as well.
Have they taken the apps out? I don't know. I thought there was an app for iOS to watch Amazon content previously, wasn't there? I don't know if it's gone or not, but I guess what they're saying is we're not going to be making one for the Apple TV.
Yeah.
And the reason they gave for not selling the Apple TV and the Chrome is, they didn't want to confuse their customers because the customers are going to buy something from them and not be able to watch their Amazon content on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, a total load of rubbish. Obviously, they're the ones who were saying we're not going to put our content on the Apple TV. Oh, we're not going to sell the Apple TV because you can't watch our content on it.
Yeah.
It's just
one defeats the other, doesn't it?
It is. It's stupid. But that's the choice they've made, and I know it leaves a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth, to be honest.
Yeah. So speaking about the new Apple TV, there's two discussions I'd like to bring up about that. I'm just trying to get switch the camera. It doesn't want to. There we go. Sorry about that. So the first one is, if there's anyone out there that wants to write an Apple TV app for me for Aussie Max Zone, and maybe we use it for ATH and the security. So I did send a question to a bigger podcast who was talking about one of their people writing one, but from what I understand, it's not too hard, but would be interesting to hear from people to see what we can do about joining forces there. I would certainly be interested. Yep. Now, there was also the one about iFixit.
You've got buzzers going off everywhere there, Michael. Someone
Yeah, I
really
know.
wants to get hold of you, don't they?
It was the reminder for me to put the show notes up because we're on different time zone now. I've got to change the time for my reminders.
Yes.
So iFixit putting the teardown of the new Apple TV up before it's been released. So now they've had their developer account suspended. They've had their app because they haven't got a developer account, so therefore they can't have an app. So they've had that taken off by Apple. Do you think they just made a mistake, or was it a calculated risk they took to put the teardown early?
I'd say it was a calculated risk. They must have known it may have been an issue, but you could easily have seen a couple of them sitting around a boardroom going, "Shall we do this or not?" No, someone would have said, "Well, Apple gave it to us. They know what we do. How cross are they going to be?" Well, apparently they're pretty cross indeed.
Yeah, because a couple of comments that I've been hearing is that because people seem to not be following NDAs that they have with Apple, but Apple have relaxed their NDAs a lot because you can talk about things that are happening, you just can't show pictures of it. That's part of the new NDA. In case it changes. Screenshot.
Yep.
So are we saying it's not a screenshot, it's a photo of a pulled apart device?
It's a damn sight lot of screenshots, isn't it? So I guess it is a strict breach, yeah. They could have spoken. So what could they have spoken about what was in there? They could have written an article about it without any video, without any photos, and that would have been okay, I wonder.
They could have described it very well, and then on the day that it gets released, put the video.
There's all the photos.
I just that confuses me a little bit. It's a calculated risk that went wrong, obviously.
So they've made all the content available or something, haven't they? Hoping somebody else will write the app that will display their content for them. Yeah.
So, but you can still go to their website. You just got to be reminded that it's there. That's all. Just the app.
Did anyone? I never had the app.
No, I didn't have the app.
I see plenty of iFixit stuff anyway without.
Yeah.
I don't know that the pulling of the app really is going to affect them at all. It's not that relevant.
Oh, it means they won't get. They probably won't be able to go to the developer conference anymore, for example. But they do teardowns of everything, cameras and like lots and lots of electronic equipment. So
absolutely.
It just amazes me that they weren't prepared to wait 3 weeks or whatever it is that we've got for that TV. So that's all I've got, mate.
Me too. I think that's the news in a bit more than 30 minutes.
So I'm giving Waze a try at the moment as a GPS maps app. So I'm just giving that a go.
What map data does Waze use? Do you know if they have their own, or what map data they're using?
I don't know where they get the original information from, but all the things like traffic accidents and fires and that sort of stuff.
That's all their own stuff.
Me. Yeah, that's all. They make it really easy to say there's an incident here or there's a police operation here. Just like push a button, keep going. You don't have to write anything in and that sort of thing. So,
and have you found it useful?
Oh, so far, yeah. Yeah, and it'll even tell you to go down, turn left, go down 3 blocks and turn right, and then turn, to go around an accident. Whereas,
take you around it, yeah.
Yeah, Google and Apple just tell you to go straight ahead, sort of thing. So, but speaking of apps, I saw one this morning, which we've got. This is for Sydney. It's a fire brigade website. If I can just tell people about that, because there was a fire in Ryde this week, today, sorry, when I left one of my customers. We looked up the road and there was heaps and heaps of black smoke, and it was Sorry, I'm just trying to find the... And yeah, so when I got down the road a little bit, I looked up the fire. I just did a search for fire. Can't find it now. Fire and ride, and it took me to the Fire Brigade app. But it tells you that it's a fire truck and where they're up to, and then it keeps updating. It's like a Twitter feed page on the web, because it's actually like newsouthwalesbrigade.com/twitter.php is the web page, something like that. So and it talked about another truck fire that was down on the federal highway at the same time, and a house fire over at somewhere else. And
so it's sort of a live feed for all the fires in your area.
Yeah, so if you're not sure what's happening, or you say, "Oh, what's that smoke over there?" you can just
have a check.
Go there. And
well, I should have had that handy last weekend, or a couple of nights ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my wife looks out the window and goes, "There's a crane out the window." What the hell is a crane doing out the window? There's all these police cars and a fire truck down the end of the street. Yeah. And the house had been on fire, so I guess they had the crane there in case they needed to get anyone out of the top floor. But I don't know, a little bit disconcerting at 1 o'clock in the morning to find a crane outside your window.
So, all right. So, all good, mate?
Yeah. I'll
look forward to seeing you again next week.
Absolutely.
And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thanks to athwebhosting.com.au.
We got it right.
I did. All right. Good night, everybody.